Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the Eastern Shore Chamber of Commerce Support Small Live. Today is a big one for us because we're sitting down with the Baldwin County Virtual School to talk about what virtual school will look like for students in the upcoming school year. The deadline to register is coming up at the end of the month. And so we want to get all your questions answered as many as we can from many of our parents. We put out a questionnaire on Facebook asking parents what they want to know, what hesitations they may have. And we're going to try to plow through as many as we can to get those answered for our parents and our community here. Today we have Ms. Holly Resmondo, who's the principal at the Baldwin County Virtual School, as well as the Dean of Academics, Ms. Renee Carter, with us today. And so let's just dive right in. Let's start with you, Ms. Carter. First, kind of give us an overview of what the Baldwin County Virtual School is. Let's start there.
So the Baldwin County Virtual School will be an online platform for our students where they will receive instruction from home. It looks a little different for secondary than it does for elementary. So I will talk about elementary a little bit, and then I will let Ms. Resmondo talk about the secondary portion of it. But we are now developing what that school will look like for elementary. Of course, we have a curriculum in place, which will be the same curriculum as face-to-face students, the same teaching strategies as face-to-face. However, we all know that virtually will be a little different than face-to-face. So those strategies will definitely have to be tweaked for our virtual portion of instruction. We're excited. We have sample lessons already posted on our website for elementary. We have the curriculum posted on our website. The pacing will be just as any teacher in Baldwin County, so that if a parent decides that they're ready to move back into the face-to-face setting for elementary, they will be able to do that transition smoothly because we will be following the same pacing as every teacher in Baldwin County for every grade level. We are excited. We have great teachers in Baldwin County. Ms. Hope Zena is right now interviewing as we speak, which is why she couldn't be here today. So we're hiring, teachers that are excited about this, and we're going to have great opportunities online for our students.
In the secondary,
we talked about bringing in the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Resmondo. Go ahead.
She had talked about the elementary. I kind of wanted to give you a little bit of an overview about the secondary. There's a program in Alabama called Access Virtual Learning, Distance Learning, and that program comes from the State Department of Alabama following the state standards. And every course that is offered by a certified teacher, Alabama state teacher. So our students will be online with Access, and they will receive that information. It's sort of like a reading platform more than you're not going to have a live video teacher lecturing you every day. It's basically reading through sort of like a slideshow presentation that you interact with to get your classwork done. And then what we do is we have hired certified teachers on our campuses, and they are there for our students for tutoring and for proctoring and mentoring and doing, any kind of questions that they may have. They will be assigned one of those mentor teachers that is like their little personal coach. So our students are actually taking their classes online via Access. And then we do have some locally designed courses that our teachers teach online as well.
So about how many students will be assigned per teacher?
There would probably be around 40 to 50 students per teacher, but now keep in mind that they have a teacher online. So they'll actually have a teacher online that's teaching their classes to them for each course that they take. And then this coach will be assigned to them as well, who will monitor their grades and contact them weekly or bi-weekly, depending on how they're doing, and work with them to help keep them on track.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about how this is all set up. Are we looking like a typical day for a student? Is it set hours Monday through Friday, or can you complete the coursework at at the time that best suits the family when someone can help and guide a younger student. Kind of talk to that side of it, Ms. Resmondo. I'll start with you.
Okay, with the secondary level for 7th through 12th grade, the student's coursework is online for them. They can actually get ahead. They can work at their own pace. A lot of our students set up a time at home. You need to set up a workspace that is their space, not the kitchen table. They need to really have their own little spot. Let's say their best time to start is 8:30, then they get up at 8:30 and they tackle whichever course they want to tackle first. They're not on a timeline. They don't have to log into this class at this certain time, but they do need to log into their classes every day and get their work done. What usually happens is on Mondays, the teacher has posted what activities are going to be due for the week, so they can sit down with a calendar and they can decide what classes they're going to work on this week, which projects they're going to get finished on what days, and actually make their own plan for how they can make this happen. This works extremely well for students who have a lot of outside activities, so that if they are a golfer and they are working to try to get a scholarship in golf and they want to golf at 3 o'clock every day, well, then they know to schedule their time before 3 and then after 3 to get their coursework done. But they need to put in 5 to 8 hours a day, just like they would in a regular school setting, on their coursework. And as they get more familiar with the platform, it won't take them as long. They'll kind of get a little groove in and be able to get that work done.
Perfect. And when it comes to, say, attendance, how is that monitored?
When they log into their classes, that's their attendance.
Okay. And things can be a little bit different for our elementary students. I know I have a kindergartner, and this past spring, it was just all about, okay, first we have to teach her how to use a computer before we even get to starting to do lessons. How does that look different for our elementary students, Ms. Carter?
And of course, it's obvious that, elementary is not going to be quite as independent as our secondary students. We will have them log on every morning with their teachers for a morning time with their teachers. And then they'll be, they're going to have to be available during those school hours, because the teachers will be scheduling just like a face-to-face teacher does. They schedule different events and different things for those students. So they may schedule a science project. There'll be different times that they'll have to be on Google Meet to schedule different activities with them. But there will also be times that, just like face-to-face students, when they go home and they have things to work on at home, there will be things that parents can work on with them after, school hours, different assignments and things that they will be able to work on. Now, we do not anticipate a student sitting in front of the computer from 8 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day, especially an elementary student. They will have teachers that they are assigned to, professionals that know what they need, that will be assessing them, that will be following and monitoring daily their growth. So it may be that some kindergarten students or some third grade students may need a little more time than other students. We will build in that time and schedule that time for students by need, and that's very important. They will also be able to schedule times to meet face-to-face if they would like to come on our campuses. And we will have different virtual school campuses, and we're working on that now to get those places ready for our students. And we've had the question, yes, the students, when they come into virtual school, we know it will not be like going into a school with thousands of students there. We will follow all social distance guidelines that Baldwin County, at that moment, those guidelines that are in place, we will follow those guidelines with social distancing, wearing masks, sanitizing, all of that will be the same. But yes, there will be some support there for our babies. We know elementary students are going to need that, and we will have instructors there for that reason.
And a specific question about elementary, I know some parents had some concern, like you said, about being in front of the screen for that amount of time, especially for our little ones. Will there be opportunities for them to be able to, say, print out coursework and then scan that back in, or how does that work?
Absolutely. And we're recommending that parents have a printer and a scanner. And they're very inexpensive. You can get a printer and a scanner because there will be some things that parents, they will not have workbooks. Most everything will be online materials. So being able to print those things off and work with your students with paper and pencil, I think is very important at times because it just gives them that little bit of extra practice.
All right, great. Thank you. Let's talk about extracurriculars for a second. Things like sports, music, art, and field trips. Will they have opportunities to take part in those activities?
Our secondary students have the opportunity to go back to their base school for band, for athletics, and for JROTC. So those three things are available. They can also take elective classes at South Baldwin Center for Technology, North Baldwin Center for Technology, and the Aviation Center in Fairhope. And of course, our students have the opportunity to do dual enrollment with Coastal Alabama. So we have within our campus a theater teacher. They can take art online, theater. We have clubs. We have all kinds of organizations that they can be involved in. Keeping in mind with COVID, some of those activities that we've done in the past may not be available to us. But in the past, we have our own bus and we do field trips and we have all kinds of activities for our students to do.
Wonderful. Let's move on to specialized, and we touched on tutoring earlier, but say your student has an individualized education plan or speech therapy, the gifted program. Are those services available if you go through the virtual school?
Absolutely. We will provide any services that a face-to-face would provide. Given we all know that those accommodations may look a little bit different from the virtual side of things, but we will have special education teachers. We will have speech and language pathologists. We will have 504 plans in place, teachers trained to be able to know what those accommodations look like through virtual. So we will make anything available face-to-face will be available for our students virtually, but it may just look a little different.
All right. And a lot of our parents really wanted to know about, okay, so what are our deadlines here? When do I get to decide to stay in virtual or go back to the classroom? Should situations with COVID change? Kind of go over some of those dates and when they'd be able to make decisions to make moves.
So July 31st will be the deadline. We had originally talked about giving students to the end of August to apply. With the growing numbers, we will give you the option to go back face-to-face by the end of August, the last week in August. But we need students to apply by July 31st, if any way possible. We need them to, not if possible, because we need to know what personnel we're going to need. We want this to be successful, and knowing those numbers it will help us to plan to be the most successful for our students. So we will need them to register by July 31st. Now, elementary students at the end of the 9 weeks, they can apply for virtual, or they could go back after that August 31st date. And for high school, it's semester. And it has to be semester for high school because it's very hard with scheduling. We're dealing with credits when we're dealing with high school. So we have set that up on a semester so they could make a decision at the end of each 9 weeks or at the end of each semester for secondary.
All right, perfect. And then we want to know too about, as a parent, what do I need to have available to my student at home for them to be successful in the virtual school program? Do I need to have internet access, a printer, things like that? Ms. Resmondo, if you could touch on those things that you would be required.
Well, for secondary, definitely you hit on they will receive a computer from us if they don't already have one from one of the home schools that they're coming from, which at this point we need to let everybody know to hang on to that computer. Don't go withdraw and turn that computer in. You just wait for us to let you know what's going on. We're working on a plan to digitally transfer students from one school to the other so that we don't have to have parents going into schools and withdrawing and coming in and enrolling. We're going to handle that for you you once you sign the declaration paperwork, which we're sending out. But for students, they need the things that make them comfortable when they learn. Some kids like spiral notebooks. Some kids like 3-ring binders with all their papers in it and dividers. It's basically what they need for their classwork. They're going to need to have a section in each notebook or a notebook for every class that they take. And they need a special place in their house that everybody knows when they are in that particular work area, they're doing their school work. And that's not a game zone, and that's not a phone zone, that's a work zone. But basically that's it. That computer is going to be their best friend for school.
All right. And then we need to know if we wanted to learn more, will there be parent meetings? What can I find on the website for more information before this July 31st deadline?
For secondary, we've got the frequently asked questions section. So if you want to go through that, of course, my email's on that page as well. We have tried to cover as many topics as possible. All of our clubs are there. All of our courses that we offer are there, either dual enrollment access, our local courses, our electives are there. Just basic information. There's a couple of videos kind of explaining the process. There's some videos explaining things as simple as the cheating policy, the standardized testing policy. Everything is there for them to go through. And then we're going to have some meetings for parents. They may be virtual. We may have to do Google Meet or Zoom, but we'll have some meetings with those parents where they can ask questions. And of course, everybody here is diligently answering the phone and answering emails. So feel free, you're not bothering us. We're working hard to get all these teachers on staff, but we know how important it is for a parent to make a decision about the most important thing in their life, their child. So they can call us or email us anytime.
I appreciate that. Is there anything you would like to add that we did not necessarily cover that would be important?
Well, I think
also on the, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was also going to share.
Mention that about the supplies that the elementary needs.
Right, and I was going to share about our Baldwin County Virtual School website as well for elementary, BCVES at bcbe.org. We have supply lists there for you. We have the frequently asked questions that we're updating daily if things change. And we all know that we're living in a world where things change daily. And so we're updating things there for you. Continue to follow that. We are we know that, and we appreciate the fact that you have been so patient with us. We are trying to make the best decisions for our students. There's not a time that we're around the table that it's not centered around the needs of students in our district, and that's what it's about. And so we're trying to answer those questions for you. So please go to that website, look at the frequently asked questions, look at the supply list, look at the sample lessons. I think that may ease some of your anxieties, or it may help you make a decision one way or the other. And I know it's a hard decision for parents at this time, but we are here and ready to support you.
Wonderful. Mr. Resmondo, did you have something?
No, we just, like I said before, just let us know if there's anything we can do for you. It's so important for us to be available to our parents, and building those relationships are the most important thing. And, it's a new day when you're looking at us from 300 last year to 1,600 this year, but we're going to make it work. And we're very excited about the opportunity.
Thank you so much for both of you for coming and joining us to do this. I know our parents really appreciate it. And anytime we can help connect our local schools and our community, we are here for that. We appreciate it. So thank you for joining us for Support Small Live with the Eastern Shore Chamber of Commerce. Have a good one.
Thank you.